Okay, we're ready.
Okay, are we on live?
We are live.
Okay. Rudy just wanted to make a big entrance.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, you want to call the order and I'll take roll call.
Yeah, why don't we call the REAC meeting to order? Take the roll.
Okay, Peg Zugaby.
Here.
Roger Marr.
Here.
Tim Riley.
Here.
Okay. Okay, we don't have any action items. We don't have any new business. We don't have any old business. But we do have a treasurer's report. And if you look at your September financials, I can say essentially that it's our routine monthly bill or two. I think the only, we wrote a check or two at most.
That's it.
And in addition, you may see on there the Paris 5-year budget report. This is something we do every year. We're obligated by the state to do. They ask us for a projection of our income next year. And what we do is every year we just update the 5-year plan. So we take last year's with projection, we actualize it so that whatever we ended up making, last year is actual. And then we just tack on a projected year out. And it's really, as you know, we're based on our projects that we can't necessarily control the nature, type, or the fees. So it's a reasonable projection based on history. So it's just a document that we have to, we have our bookkeeper and our Paris compliance person from Harris Beach coordinate with us. And I just needed someone to make a motion to accept that.
The only, just ironically on this, the only line item that goes across all 5 years is the professional service contracts. We have no investments, no anything, so it's kind of just a blanket sheet.
Yeah. Yeah, it's, this is a much more applicable document for some of these big IDAs that are involved in owning properties, managing industrial parks, things that we just aren't involved in. So, it would be more like a corporate 5-year plan. So with that said, if somebody, I guess if you want to make one motion, if you're inclined, someone make a motion to accept the September financials and the 5-year budget report. Okay. And a second?
I can second.
Okay, Raj. And I'll call the roll. Peg Zugaby.
Yes.
Roger Marr.
Yes.
Tim Riley.
Yes.
That's all I got. So want me to read the
Motion to close, yeah.
No, I have to read the minutes. Call to order at 12:30. No action items, no new business, no old business. Board reviewed the treasurer's report, reviewed the September financials. The board reviewed the Paris 5-year budget report. There was a motion by Peg Zugaby, seconded by Raj Amar, to accept the financials and the 5-year budget report. All in favor. And that's it. Adjourned.
That's it.
That's what you said.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay. All right. Now we'll get into REAC. So you want to call that to order?
We'll call the IDA meeting to order.
Okay.
Call the roll.
Peg Zugaby?
Yeah.
Jim Riley?
Yeah.
Roger Marr?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, the first item we have is an authorizing resolution. This is the ranch, Hudson Valley. This is the sales tax exemption request. They're asking for additional sales tax. You induced it at last month's meeting. We had a public hearing. Heidi conducted a public hearing over at the town of Ramapo. There was no public comment. So this is simply the authorizing resolution confirming that resolution. Any questions or someone want to make a motion? Okay, need a second?
No second.
Okay. All right, I'll call the roll. Peg Zugaby,
Yes.
Roger Marr,
Yes.
Tim Riley.
Yes.
Okay. Motion's passed. Chartwell, this is, again, an authorizing resolution involving a pilot-only project for 2 properties up in Congers. The terms of the pilot, just so everyone knows, has been already negotiated amongst the taxing entities. We had a public hearing. I conducted a public hearing earlier this week. There was no public comment. So again, unless there's comment about this, I would ask if someone wanted to make a motion.
Just take charcoal?
Chartwell.
It says inducement.
Chartwell's authorizing.
Is it October for you?
Says authorizing them, money.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't know if anyone has any questions, and I'm sorry if I'm moving along. I don't want to imply that if you have questions, we can certainly talk about it.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Okay. Okay. Peg Zugaby,
Yes.
Raj Amar,
Yes.
Tim Riley.
Yes.
Okay, authorizing resolution. May want to call Michael Klein in since he made the whole point of coming over here. I hate to do it.
Put a sandwich.
Would have felt bad if we did it and didn't even tell you. Okay.
It would be fine. Good afternoon, everyone.
All right. As everyone knows, Michael Klein representing the Myrtle projects. In short, this is an authorizing resolution. The folks, they came back, they asked for an additional mortgage recording tax exemption adjustment upward, changing the financing amount. Michael, I don't know if you want to, again, we had a public hearing, there was no comment and from the public, but if you wanted to just give them a quick snapshot of what they've already induced.
Right, so the project was induced last April of 2022. We closed on the land loan soon after that. We finally received planning board approval in June of this year. And we applied for and were approved for a larger financing for the balance of the project. So instead of a total financing of 21 million, we've been approved for $25 million. So that's a difference of about $42,000 in the mortgage exemption. So that's the difference in the benefit that we're seeking. So we're asking that the board approve the change in the larger mortgage tax exemption. The project basically remains essentially the same. It's instead of 3 buildings, it's now combined into 1 building at the request of the village. 20% of the units will be classified as affordable housing. The balance will be the 56 units will be leased at market rent. So that's the nature of the application.
Any questions?
So all this is an increase. on-
Just an additional increase reflecting some of the
21 to
changes.
25.
That's correct.
If someone wants to make a motion,
I'll make the motion.
okay,
I'll second it.
okay. Okay, Peg Zugaby,
Yes.
Raj Amar,
Yes.
Tim Riley.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you
You're
very
authorized.
much. Much appreciated,
Michael,
everybody.
thank you, and just to share, Michael said, should I come? I said, never hurts. So I brought you all the way over here for that.
Good
Thank you.
questions that came up, so this
Yes.
is appreciated. And thank you also for the range. That was nice.
Okay.
You want a sandwich to go?
I think I'm good for now, but I appreciate that.
Now, if you see nothing you like, just put your order in beforehand. I'll make sure that's everything.
All right, have a good rest of the day.
All right,
everybody.
thank you, Michael. Okay, we're going to turn our pages to a new project, the Havistra Group. This involves a housing project going up into the town of Havistra. I won't go into a lot of depth because we've got Mark who's going to go into more detail about it. But again, they're looking at sales tax, mortgage tax, a pilot. I can say that I've been party to the discussions and I can confirm that the town is on board with a pilot. There's been some discussions with the school. I know the town, I talked to the supervisor about this, they are very anxious for this project to go forward. I don't say that to prejudice the board, or just sharing with you what's been told to me. With that said, maybe Mark, I'll ask you if you want to give a 5-minute overview,
Sure.
and then the board can ask any questions.
Good evening, I'm Mark Pence here. Let me just grab some of the materials I brought, so it's helpful, I think, to see.
That's okay.
And hand them around as well. I'm not sure what's best, maybe from take one, pass it. Probably doesn't help the folks on the screen, but I'll work from here. So I'm Mark Pence here with the Havistra Group. We're looking to develop 300 apartments on a portion of the Letchworth Village site, if you know where that is, as you're going up Fields Road there. This particular piece is sort of where those baseball fields are. Again, if you're familiar with the site. So looking at 300 units in a clubhouse and 6 different buildings, elevator buildings, 3/4-story buildings with some private garages. We add recreation, either tennis or pickleball has actually been a little bit more popular than tennis these days. Although so far we've been very successful with it. We are starting to hear people complain about the noise on those, believe it or not. Yeah, if you've played, you know that ping. And then we create these clubhouses that are sort of these gathering places with a pool. They'll have a fitness center, a lounge, card room. We're finding that we used to build clubhouses that were 3,500 square feet. I think they're now like 8,000 square feet, 8,500. People are using them, so it's great. I have some samples if you wanted to see of a similar type product that we did, just so you could see the type of work that we do. Or if this is overkill, I'm happy to just sit down and stop talking.
So you have 1 tennis court, 2 pickleball.
It's a placeholder at the moment. On the last project we did, we actually scrapped the tennis and just did the 2 pickleball. But we want outdoor recreation. We'll have an outdoor dog run there as well. That's also become one of the most popular amenities.
Where's the high school? Just,
It's over here.
That's
okay.
Yeah, because really, as you go up here, this is sort of the top of the
Willowgrove's
hill.
up there and Fieldstone's over there. It's kind of,
Yeah, exactly. The high school is on that
it's
side.
over there.
The balance of Letchworth is sort of up here.
Okay.
Is that where the church is?
Well,
No,
the church
yeah,
would be
the church
kinda
would be up like where, like.
up at the
kinda where
upper
his
left
head is.
hand, off the map on the upper left hand corner. Yes.
His fingers.
Kind of where Mark's head is.
Yeah, that's what I said. It's kinda
So
like-
you're saying the high school is down there?
The high school.
Down
is
and to the right, yeah.
Yeah,
it's kinda
somewhere in
like
that
there.
area.
And
What
then,
are the height of the buildings? How many stories?
So there are 3/4-story, depending which side you enter on.
Right, okay.
So the garage is the lowest level. You pull in the garage. The garage is only on half side of the building, so it's almost a stepped footing. Then as you go up a level, then there's 3 stories of residential there. So it depends how you're measuring the average grade.
I get it.
it's apartments,
This is all rental apartments, market rate.
How many bedrooms?
It's 2 and 1 bedrooms. We favor 2 bedrooms here. It just seems a lot of, in other markets that we build this type of product, we find that empty nesters are coming from large homes and do not want to squeeze into a 1-bedroom. They want a 2-bedroom. They also want a place for kids or grandkids to visit. We see a lot. And really they're moving an entire house into a 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom apartment even, it becomes a little bit of a challenge.
what's market rate? Like, what's the?
What's the actual rent projections? I have to look again, so just the ballpark,
Just ballpark.
I'll ballpark it. The 1-bedrooms would probably be around 2,500, and the 2-bedrooms probably around 3,500 to 4,000. Ballpark, I can get you more,
Is there any allocation for volunteer firemen, things of that nature?
There's no specific designation or allocation, but obviously everybody,
So everything is market value.
correct. Yeah, I can just show it, since we're looking at it. It's sort of just a sample, it's a similar product type, but that 3-story, that's exposed. And these are the type of finishes, that unfortunately the coloring kind of came out a little bit funky, but that's a finishes for the typical unit. This is a clubhouse. There's the pickleball with that like synthetic material, and again, just some more photos. It ends up, the clubhouses kind of have like a resort feel to them.
You're building this on how many acres?
It's, I think, 25 acres. I can have that information.
It's all right, we know.
Okay.
Are you targeting like 55 and over or young professionals? Do you expect kids to come out of there or?
The answer is both. We were looking for both young professionals and active adult renters. I think what often happens in these markets, you'll have young families that maybe move in and want to be in an area and stay for a few years while they're either looking to move to a house at some point. But our maximum bedrooms is 2 bedrooms, so it's good for young families, but not really. As you kind of get a little bit older, they come to us and they look for a house in the neighborhood. That's what we see a lot. And then on the empty nester side, the exact opposite. They want to stay in town. They've made relationships in town. They maybe want to be near their kids who are now sending their kids, to the schools, and they want to stay local without maintaining a house. We've seen a lot of that.
So you have an estimated I'm on the school board there, that's why I'm asking. You have an estimated how many kids you think would come out of it? I'm sorry, I forget. How many units did you say?
300 units.
And-
There are studies we can look at other sample projects and see what the typical rate
If
is.
you come before the school board, that's a question you'll be asked.
For certain, we met with the head of the school board.
Chris Belicello?
Chris Belicello and.
Exactly, gave an overview of the project. Obviously, I completely understand the concern, which is why I think we're not designing something that's 3 bedrooms and more, where you're gonna have families come in and stay.
I mean,
for
because
10
I'm
years.
just telling you, right, we're not closing buildings, we're not losing population, we're not gaining, we're flat.
Right,
So it's not like we can't take students, but we can take a lot of kids. Yeah, we can take an influx of a lot of kids.
yeah, I couldn't tell you there'll be 0, but I
Yeah.
also don't think that you're having
But we can't take.
it's not 300,
kids.
it's not 300 families or even 100 families coming in and looking to use the schools for 10 years. I don't think that's what you're seeing.
Yeah,
Have you checked the occupancy rate on the complexes around you? Do you
Yeah,
have any idea?
I mean, typically all the properties are operating around 95% occupied. I think as the market, comes and goes, maybe, there's adjustments by a few percentage points,
Okay.
but they'll all operate above 92, 93%.
So what you're saying is that most of the area apartments around you, the complexes are full.
They're full. Yeah. I mean, 95%, we call that full.
This is probably consistent with, I know what we heard, remember when we were up at Cooperstown at the annual meeting. The meeting was almost entirely
So that's
dedicated
where-
to the lack of market rate housing across the state, not just in Rockland.
It's just shocking to me.
Yes,
I hear the prices of the rent and,
yeah, I mean, that's the
it's
reality of
incredible
it, I
to-
mean,
I know.
but the actual stock, that's the other issue, like the city, the state is saying just the available stock of housing for young families and working couples and
Yeah.
singles. So,
Wow.
People are not buying a lot of homes nowadays, so rental is probably the
Yeah.
direction to go.
I had questions. Remember when Nanuet came in, the Project Nanuet on the railroad tracks, which has since taken back their application?
Yeah, that's not.
COVID.
Well, when they were here, I had some doubts. I went to Normandy Village myself, and I talked to the rental agent there, and I went in, and that, I don't know, Normandy Village is huge. It goes
Yes.
on forever and ever. They have that's the kind of thing that convinced me. They had no opens.
Yeah.
None. I said, how many empty apartments here? Oh, we had none. We have a
Yeah.
waiting list.
Yeah.
Well, going along with what, at
Yeah.
the conference we went to, that's what they said. That
Yeah.
affordable,
Well,
if you
even
want
with
close
houses,
affordable
like-
housing is needed, yeah.
Yeah, my daughter, friends are looking for a house. They have cash. They're both, to put on a house, they both are professionals who have money, cash to put on a house. And every time they find a house, they're outbid.
Mhm.
And
That's
they
very
need to
common.
find a house near North Rockland because that's where her mother lives and the mother babysits for their child. So they can't go far from that location, and every time they find a house, they're
Well, there
willing
should
to
be.
pay cash for the house and somebody outbids them on the house.
And there's no-
You know,
Okay,
so this is, I guess, the housing, you know,
We-
so I,
we
you know,
do need
I was
more housing.
skeptical of it, but
It's-
I guess we're all wrong.
It's needed.
I guess, you know.
So Mark, explain something to me. You're building this beautiful complex, right? And you're taking a space that's probably been shut down since 1990,
Mhm.
right? How is your tenants gonna feel about the surrounding? Just a question.
No, I think it's a fair point. Obviously, it's not necessary. I mean, the area that we're in is sort of a pocket, you know, it's where those baseball fields are. It's a little bit away from it. If you're asking me my preference, I think there's a time when the, you know, other portions of the site are redeveloped.
Oh, you're gonna be a great start though for them.
I think I don't want to speak for the town, but the idea of getting somebody to come in and build that nice new product is a good catalyst to get the rest of the area. I don't know what the redevelopment ultimately becomes for the balance of the site, but those buildings are really an attractive nuisance, I think, at this point, in their, you know, where they are. I wouldn't want to go in one of them, I think. I'm not sure the condition they're currently being maintained or not.
not.
No, not
They're
maintained.
not.
are there any buildings on your property?
We do not have any buildings on our property.
Okay, so you don't have to worry about the demolition,
Environmental,
remediation, or any of that.
I think that's probably one of the reasons those buildings are still there is getting
Yeah.
somebody's arms wrapped around remediating and.
To get them
versus-
shovel ready, it costs
It's
millions of
gonna take
dollars
you
just to get to that point.
you
I mean,
know,
there might be
Ross
somebody-
knows
there could
that.
be somebody in this room.
Been there, done that.
I was just gonna say, he knows the answer to that
right.
question.
I mean, we become as interested in, you know, we become a vested party interested in seeing the whole area redeveloped, just like the
Well,
town
that's-
is.
That's the talk of everybody. Everybody now has
If this becomes successful for you guys, would you consider going more into other parts of, like, into the other side of Haverstraw and Stony Point in the future?
Yeah, so our company, I should have started with this, but we're a family business now, third generation. We've been around since the 50s, and for us, we like to build relationships with towns and stay in these towns. We're long-term holders. We're building the 300 units, and if we can find an opportunity to build another 300 or other product types or what, you know, whatever
You
it
do
is.
hotels?
We don't do hospitality. We really are focused on residential. We have
I was
done
thinking
hotels.
just-
We stick with what we know.
It's a good point.
But we like the idea of, we would always be interested and seek other opportunities. It's really.
Even though you may wind up with those buildings that have to be cleaned up and.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can quantify it. I'm not saying it's great, but there's a
No, but
number.
would you consider is the question?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we've undertaken remediations before and taken down, there's a school in Bergen County in Englewood, that we had to take down and had a school that was 75, 100 years old, and there was a lot of remediation. But we follow the guidelines and we can get our arms wrapped around it.
Well, you could come and look at our school, we connected them. You look at Fieldstone.
How many units do you own,
Fieldstone,
or
Fieldstone's
manage?
part, old construction.
So
project.
besides these, do you have a ballpark?
Yeah, we have about 10,000 units, and about 8,000 of them are either in New Jersey, Northern Jersey, or New York that we own and operate.
Any more questions?
When do you think that if you get all the approvals, given
Oh,
approvals,
that's
when do you think that your project will start and when do you think you will be able to rent it out?
The project for us, we start the moment that we have all approvals. That's always the case. So if it takes a year from now, if it takes a little bit longer than that, once we have all approvals, we close on the land and we close with our construction loan and we start developing that day. It will take probably 2 years to construct it and then probably another year to lease it up. We think the absorption is probably somewhere in the 25 units a month. So about a year.
And you're familiar with our labor policy?
So I've reviewed the labor policy. We spoke with, I don't remember the gentleman's name, but at the,
Kevin Loki.
yep. the local labor policy you're referring to, right? Yeah, we're familiar with it. To be honest, when you find local labor, it ends up being more efficient in a lot of senses. To the extent it's available sometimes, with the 300 unit project, is not every exact trade might be ready to go in that area, but we like using local labor. It's generally, that's their area. They know their area, and pricing can be competitive.
Shocking.
And if I could give you some advice with the school district, don't,
You'll get to be snarky.
don't,
That's nothing to do with you.
don't rely on the town to talk to the school district for the pilot. Make your own, make your own appointment with the school board, and don't wait for the last minute kind of.
And Mark, you and I can talk about that as far as
And
timing.
Mark,
Yeah,
she's giving good advice.
Yeah,
Because too many times they're put on the back burner and you're gonna go in behind the 8 ball. I wouldn't advise that. I would.
I think, for us, it's important to know these things up front, because without these, inducements, the project is, it doesn't work without it. So that's a good thing to know up front.
Have you bought the property?
We're contract purchasers. The contract, we close on it once we have all approvals.
Right. Okay. Any other questions? I'll move.
You're gonna make a note, okay? Do we have a second?
One second, I'll second. I kind of figured. Is this the first rental project that we're doing?
Well,
We have someone suffering with that.
no, we have, it's.
That was a while ago, right?
Yeah, Washington Avenue, 159, their rentals.
Also the Oak, the one we did last month, that other one in Garnerville.
Oh, right, behind ShopRite.
But we're just, as you can see, I mean, your point, Raj, and I think we are now into housing, because the board, took a look at this and realized that this is a wave that we have to be a part of, that puts some parameters as well as providing incentives to enable it. We're in the middle of a motion here, so let me, yes.
I vote yes.
Oh, okay, all right. Peg's
You're
looking at
gonna
me?
call my name, yes.
Okay. Raj Amar?
Yes.
Tim Riley?
Yes.
Okay, so
Good
Mark,
luck.
you're
Thank you.
induced.
Congratulations, good luck.
Thank you. Thank
Good
you.
luck.
What'll happen next, just to
You'll
walk
see
you
my
through?
face again.
We will, when you're looking to get all these pieces lined up, what'll happen, the next step is we'll set a public hearing. It'll be a town hall. We'll notify you. You're not obligated to attend the public hearing, but you're certainly welcome. It's not a forum for you to present the project. It's really a one-way communication from anybody in the public that wants to provide the IDA comments on the incentives. So we'll have the public hearing, but again, you can arrive, but you're not expected to answer questions or do a presentation. Following that, then we'll coordinate with you. The next step is an authorizing resolution, which would take into account any public comment that would determine, maybe have the board, determine, their decision on that final approval. We try to, presuming everything's going forward, we'll coordinate all these pieces together as far as lining it up, and at a certain point, it's us getting out of the way and letting the attorneys coordinate the closing process.
Okay.
All right, so we'll talk more, of course.
Excellent. Thank you all very much.
You're welcome to
Thank you.
stay, but you don't have to.
Right. You're also welcome to take a wrap.
Yeah.
I had some food, and
Candy for
I'm
the
gonna,
kids.
I'm gonna take some candy for the kids, and they'll be very happy. Thank you.
All right, thank you for coming.
Nice meeting you.
You too.
And I was dead set against doing housing.
I know.
No, he's saying that.
No.
But there's a big but.
Again, we went to this conference and we listened to some hard numbers, and it more or less changed my opinion, because it's unbelievable how much is needed throughout New York State.
You
Well-
have to change your mindset.
Yeah.
But you, as much as we do appreciate it, you have to remember, we like the concept is taking a dead zone for us and you're turning it into something. Yes, it's gonna put some pressure on the school, there's no doubt about it. But what you're doing is, as much as you're asking for the incentive, you're doing us a favor as well. For people, for us, we need that change. We need people like you, and plus you have history to back you up.
And we're taking a piece of property that's
I
not on the
appreciate it.
tax rolls.
Yeah.
That is now going to be generating property taxes.
Yeah. No, I think it's a plus for everybody. And we really wish you the best.
Thank you. I think it becomes a long-term
I
partnership.
think it revitalizes the
Absolutely.
community. We have to,
It's
look at it that way, and we'll figure it out. We'll
That's
have
why,
to figure it out together.
that's why I said that, hey, if this happens, what happens to the other side? You know, maybe you can, you know, in the future, come up with another program with the town and the school
Yeah,
where it benefits
That's
both
why I
parties,
said-
and you can
Absolutely.
continue
come in and talk.
building on the Haverstraw
Yeah.
side, making it beautiful.
Absolutely.
Do, you know,
I
do yourself
I
a
will
favor.
take your advice and we'll talk and you let me know the timing and whatnot.
We'll work that through.
Absolutely. Thank you
All
all.
right, thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Let me tell you something. Your project,
Now, we're publicly live on.
Michael Beach, and George Goodham, couldn't move for anything. That's their biggest main soul for something in your project.
This project, I mean, to your point, Raj,
Michael, it's a, now,
I don't know if they
okay,
do.
we're broadcasting live, folks,
Oh.
just so you remember. So if you have personal observations, I recommend you come.
But you know what, we can work together. Everybody can work together.
But I will say, it's funny you're about to say about the, that said housing, just as a point, like something like this is like the first, like, there's almost say like good retail,
That was a good
breeds more good
presentation.
retail, like in downtowns.
and he's
A
got
house.
history behind it,
Yeah.
right? In his third generation, he's got history. He's a little too expensive, I believe. at this point.
That's what I was
Right.
concerned, market value.
You're going to, you know what, they're gonna,
I
where
know,
the
I
market
know.
bears, at the end of the day, they're
I
gonna
know.
wanna rent those units. So,
He says he can do it. He must have done his homework.
My son moved out of Manhattan, lives in Hackensack, goes to the train. He works in Pearl River, his wife goes to the city. He rented a two-bedroom apartment in a facility that's even nicer than this. Bowling alley, indoor pool, outdoor pool, dog run, all the horns and whistles, gym. $3,500, a month, that's what they pay.
And
I
Hackensack.
think.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think, he
I
must have
no-
done his
When
homework.
you questioned him, I was looking at you and I was saying,
Wow.
that seems a little expensive for North Rock.
But you know what?
I
It's
thought so.
supply and demand. If he can't get the price, they'll lower it. After they committed and they built
well,
it.
as you say, they have history, they're experienced developers.
He
They-
must
they-
have done his homework. He
Yeah.
had that.
Yeah, they're
He
not
wouldn't be
throwing numbers at a
saying,
dartboard.
You know,
It is what it is.
Shall we move on to the next?
We shall.
we shall.
The next order of business is we have an amending
Amending.
resolution for Morgan Stanley. As you recall, we had closed and provided Morgan Stanley with sales tax exemption on a data center down in Orangeburg. They have indicated that at the time they asked for it, it was, quite frankly, it was an oversight on their part, and the sales tax expires, in a normal 3-year term. Every other data center we do, we tie it to the length of the lease. And they would ask for that basically the same thing. Rudy, is that essentially
I'm
it?
sorry, I might have missed it. Why wasn't theirs tied to the lease?
There was an oversight on their part. They asked, they didn't ask for an extended, if you recall, a number of years ago, we changed our policy, our sales tax exemption policy to allow for extended periods to accommodate the data center world because of the nature of how they buy.
Okay, so it just was, theirs just was.
Right, they're not asking for any more benefits. They're just asking for us to extend it to tie it into their lease period as
Just like
compared to
everybody
thereabouts,
else's
I
was.
believe, versus that 3-year,
Just
they
like
were,
everybody else.
right, that's
Okay.
all. All we're doing
All right.
really is making them consistent with every other data center.
Okay,
So they're moving it to July 2029 from 2025.
Yes.
Okay.
That's all.
They basically said the $86 million that they requested was always planned to be spent over 7 years, but the people who did the spending and their attorney never were on the same page with that.
Yeah, that's
And he didn't realize.
So
okay,
if there's no questions, then I guess someone makes a motion.
I'll move it.
I'll
Okay,
second.
Tim Riley. Okay, Peg Zugby,
Yes,
Raj Amar,
Yes.
Tim Riley.
Yes.
Okay. Low-key Brill labor reports. Heidi, I hate to put you on the spot, but basically, I would say is if you want to give it, I mean, you don't have to go through it per se, but I think, I'll ask you the questions and you can, it seems like everybody's on board, on track. We have one exception, but that's, we're aware of.
Well, let me ask you a question. Did we do anything with that exception?
We're
Where are we
going
with that
to-
exception?
We're going to deal with that. There's been no activity with them on this regard. We're going to deal with this at next month's meeting. I can explain why after.
It is a letter being put together by our attorneys. They asked us to table it until next month, until they get some clarification on the letter. So everything is status quo. Nothing's changed.
But we're not closing.
Right, we're
with
not
them.
doing
We're not-
anything.
We would not close, we're not doing any action with them. So,
Do we know what's the matter with the Montebello Gateway project?
Did Kevin talk to you about that? I'm
No.
not sure. So they're at 71% for September.
okay.
So I don't know if they may have they may have put in a waiver and we just
Okay.
don't know it.
And I
yet,
know
but-
he's indisposed right now. He's somewhere in Europe, so
Oh.
when he gets back.
Oh, right, yeah, Kevin. Yeah, so I'll ask him about that number.
Okay.
And just as an aside, our billing and invoicing, and everything is cooking along.
Yep.
Yep.
That's all fine. Heidi's managing that in a great way. Moving on, our labor policy. You have a copy of it, but the labor policy we have in final form, thank you. And really the most significant change was is that we took out an element that allowed for price to be a reason for exception.
Right.
There were some other tweaks. I don't know if Dan, you want to talk to her, but I think that was,
Yeah, that was.
that's the guts of
It was
it.
just- also
And
we were
then it
gonna
goes into
shrink-
effect.
The notification down from 60 days to 30 days. Did we do that?
That is, I think it went to
That's in there
10
too.
days. didn't
10.
it?
Okay.
And then also we.
The inducement,
Yeah.
yeah, that is,
Clearer, oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, and that goes into effect at inducement.
Exactly, we made it much clearer that it would start adding,
Yeah,
today,
and-
you know, if something was induced today, it
Perfect.
would start today.
Yeah.
To be compliance.
Thank you.
And that's about, we don't need
So
any
10
action by
days
the
to
board.
cure.
Right, me?
10 business days to cure.
See? They do something, Russ.
Wait, let's go to executive session. We'll have that conversation.
Okay. The last, well, moving on to old business, and we'll go into executive. Let's.
Yeah, no, take your time.
The pilot fee schedule, we had talked about this, and essentially, Rudy had prepared a schedule that reflects what we had talked about at the last meeting, that we're going to adopt versus how we currently are. I won't bore you by going the whole thing again. Essentially, it's going to be 1% of the projected taxes paid for the life of the pilot. That creates a fair and reasonable number. The only matter that we have not covered and that we didn't finalize was there was some discussion of what the cap would be. And if I just to paraphrase it, you know, we had said, let's cap it at 200, 250. Raj, you said cap it at 400. There hasn't been any closure on that. And I have as you'll see, there's the policy.
Yeah, I'm in with the 400. Peggy, are you comfortable with 400? Make it 400, Steve. Done.
I was really counting on some debate about that. Okay, all right, that's all I need to know. So I'm gonna fill that in and that's the number.
If you think it's not the right decision, let's reconsider.
Well,
Oh, we're good.
here,
We're good.
it's gonna apply to only a very, very, very few projects.
Every now and then.
You know, the argument would be is that that money that they're paying us in fees could be argued, could be put back into the community instead, but that's more of a subjective element to it.
And you have no proof they're gonna do that.
Right.
So, you know,
There's some items I don't want to talk in public, if we were to go in executive, but I don't want to belabor the point.
Okay.
If you all feel 400, you're good with
put it in
that?
the bed. Yep.
Okay, all right.
I mean, if it becomes a
Just pick
problem,
your
Then
battles.
we'll talk about it.
then you bring it back to us.
Right, if I find it that's causing an issue, yes.
You guys have a different, but
Okay,
I think we all in agreement with that.
Yeah.
okay. All right, September financials, again, we had the same, it was the same matter. All routine bills, nothing extraordinary there. Harris 5-year report, same thing. It's just simply actualizing the past year, projecting out the last year. It's just a procedural item we do every year. It's the same parameters that we did with REAC.
I'll make a motion to accept both the Paris and Treasurer's report.
No, you-
Go ahead,
I'll
second.
second.
Okay, Tim, Raj. Okay, Peg Zugaby,
Yes.
Raj Mar,
Yes.
Tim Riley.
Yes.
Okay. Now, that's all the agenda items. I know, Raj, you asked prior to the meeting, Raj would like to go into executive session to
But
discuss.
before we do, aren't we gonna do the officers?
We'll come out of that and then I'd say we'll do that before we close the meeting, if that's okay.
And that's fine. And there's just one other thing.
Yeah.
Heidi, how are you doing with your programs?
Oh,
Very
yes.
good, yes. So we're starting on the first pilot run of the program, which is working with 4 small businesses.
You got 4?
We have 4, and it's starting, we're having our group meeting November 1st here in the office in the evening.
Good for you.
Yeah,
Oh,
we're
nice.
excited.
Let us know how it comes out.
Absolutely, yeah, we're excited.
Oh, that's
So,
nice.
and if anyone has any questions, I'm here, let
I
me
ju-
know.
I read-
Not, not now, but at any time.
Right. And I read your email, last night I was going over my homework, and I read your email, and I know there was 2, so now it's up to 4,
Yep, it's
correct?
up to 4.
That's great.
Yeah, they're all local. I
That's
think
great.
we have a good group.
That's great.
Since all eyes are now on Heidi, I'll just keep them on for a second. I just want to underscore everybody that Heidi is doing a fantastic job, and not just in the small business, but in overseeing the Paris compliance, ramping that up again. That's a
Been a year
big
already.
monster. That's,
Is it?
you hardly
Yeah,
get your arms
we're
around, and she's
starting-
doing a
we're
wonderful
sending out
job on
letters
that.
already.
Wow.
I feel like we just did it.
Okay, so she's doing good, and I never want to miss the opportunity to tell the board she's doing good.
That's
Thank
great.
you.
All right, with that said, if we could jump into executive session to discuss a personnel matter, and I'd ask the attorneys to state this.
We are live.
Okay, we're out of executive session. Our last,
That was all my backup plan.
Oh, I was gonna.
Okay.
That's talking.
our last order of business for today is, I'd like to, propose a new, slate of officers for the IDA. Nominated for chair, Tim Riley. Nominated for vice chair / treasurer, Raj Amar. Nominated for secretary, Peg Zugaby. Can we have a motion from someone to accept that slate in a second? Okay, you'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Second. I'll read the roll call. Peg Zugaby,
Yes.
Raj Amar,
Yes.
Tim Riley.
Yes.
All right, and with that, that closes the business. I will, if you'd like, I can read the minutes.
Motion to close?
Okay, I have to
Read the minutes?
I have to read the minutes quick. Okay. Board came to order at 12:35. There was an authorizing resolution for the Ranch Hudson Valley sales tax exemption that was approved. Authorizing resolution for Chartwell that was approved. Authorizing resolution for the Northmore mortgage according tax exemption request that was approved. All in favor on those other items as well. Mark Panettiere gave an overview of a project revolving a Haverstraw Group, a residential housing, market rate housing project in the town of Haverstraw. The board asked a variety of questions about the project, which he answered. Following discussion, motion was made to induce the project and seconded. All in favor. There was a motion to amending resolution for Morgan Stanley sales tax exemption expiration date. It was discussed and explained why that resolution was necessary. Motion was made and seconded. All in favor. The board reviewed the low-key borough labor reports. The board confirmed that the labor policy amendments requested amending various components of the policy were in order and will be implemented. The board then reviewed a pilot fee schedule, amending the fee schedule, and agreed that the cap on all, regardless of the fees, would be $400,000, would be the cap. Board reviewed the treasurer's report and made a motion and accepted to adopt the September financial as well as approve the Paris 5-year budget report. Board then went into executive session to discuss a personnel matter, and at 1:40, the board came out of executive session. New officers were named, slate was approved, and that's it. Accepted? Okay. Okay, and you can make a motion.
Motion to close?
Closed. Okay, thank you.
Right, good.
So